Hey, it's Kimberlee and welcome back to my channel. I make videos on all things lifestyle on the budget and breaking news. I'm very excited to share this news of an update from my housing lottery experience here in New York. If you've been on my channel for a bit, you know I've been talking about my journey and sharing my journey from the places that I've applied, how to apply to the housing lottery, the log numbers, etc., etc. I'm gonna make a playlist so that it's easy to follow along with those videos, but I am so wow, things just come out of nowhere. In this video, I'm going to be talking about receiving a rejection letter from one of the apartments that apparently I applied to and what I did to try to appeal this decision. Okay, here come the fast facts. I, out of the blue, received a letter from one of the housing lottery apartment buildings, but it went to my old address. Luckily, my family still lives at that address, so I just had them forward the letter, but they hadn't opened it, so we didn't know what was inside. But once I saw it, I was like, this looks like a housing lottery letter. That's strange, because if it's going there, then it must be very, very old. So I got the letter, I got it forwarded to me. I opened it up and it was a rejection. It said that you are not eligible for this apartment that you applied to based on your income and the income that's listed. And I looked at the income and I was like, I don't make that at all. That's incorrect. But again, this is so old, I don't remember what I put down. So when I kept reading, it said, from the postmark of this date of this letter, you can appeal if you feel like you were rejected in error. You have 14 days to do so. By the time I got that letter, it was actually like 5 or 6 days in. So I knew I had to move very, very fast. And what did that entail? I went on Google and searched appeal letters and found a sample letter of how to appeal to. This one was to a landlord, but I basically changed around the information so that I would be talking about the housing lottery and how I felt the rejection was an error, because that's not my salary anymore. That's not my income anymore. My income's much higher, and it actually falls within the lines of the income requirements that they also put in the letter. So inside the letter, it contained the rejection letter, information about appealing. On the back, it had the income requirements that they're basically saying you don't fall into this and this is why you're being rejected. And then the rest of the pages was information about domestic violence, if you were in that situation, and what rights you have to not be turned away for housing lottery. Very important information. Like I said, I had to move fast. So I put the appeal letter together. I kind of guessed on the information that I should add to show them that this is what I make, and this is also where I live now. I had to update them on that. I put it in the mail and I just sent it off as fast as I could. And one thing I do want to say, which I feel like is very important and you're going to want to know, is that my log number was listed on the letter and it was in the 4000s. So for anyone that's wondering about log numbers and the order of operations, my number was in the 4000s, and this was them contacting me like 4 or 5 years later, which is wild. So those are our fast facts of what happened from point A to point B, and here we are. Now let's break it down a little bit. First, what I want to say, and thank you to everyone that's consistently commenting on my previous videos about the housing lottery experience. As I mentioned in the video, I am an expert only at my own situation. I'm not familiar with any of the situations that are far beyond what I've been in. And if you've seen the log number videos, etc., you know I haven't gotten pretty far. So I do appreciate that when other people have gotten farther in the journey and they see a comment asking a question that I can't answer, they hop in and answer that. So thanks for doing that. Google is our friend, and that's what I had to do with this appeal. Say pandemic times, around 2020 or so, there was a change between the old New York City Housing Connect website and the new one. I had started on the old one, and I think I had said maybe my earliest application was probably 2019 or 2018 or so. I don't remember. I went immediately to the old website to see, like, did I apply to this and when did I apply to it? None of the information is on there. I can still see the apartments that I did apply to and what's like still in process, etc., etc. But this is like, the dates are back to 2019. Now the new website, I went and checked to see if this building was listed on there, and it's not there either. So I don't know. This unit must be from might be one of the first few that I applied to. But like I mentioned, my address was incorrect, so I know this is from when it was at least before 2020. And then the income, the income is completely wrong, and I'm not even sure how I calculated it, but whatever. My number one question, just to start off, is I didn't think you got contacted to tell you you were rejected if you hadn't even been asked about your eligibility. I thought it was you get your log number, you find that out, and then you just kind of hang out till they ask if they want more information. But this was a rejection to say, like, you're not going to be able to get any further in the process because of your income. I did do a Google search of this apartment building, these addresses, etc., because I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a scam, and I kind of don't know if it is or not, which made me nervous on how I should respond because I was going to be sending in like private information. Ultimately, I knew I had to send something and I only had but so much time. Having that paper that had the information about the income guidelines and the brackets for that, I was like, let me just see if I can qualify now. And when I turned it over and looked at it, I was like, I actually do. I fit in the brackets now for some of these units. Maybe they still have them available. I was reading online a sample of an appeal letter for someone that is renting an apartment and was reaching out to the landlord to say, hey, please don't reject me because of X, Y, and Z. So I took that letter, took out certain information and added my own information in, and here's pretty much what I said. I said, thank you for taking time to look at my application and to contact me and give me an opportunity to appeal. I acknowledge that my address has been updated and I apologize for the delay in reaching out to them because I had to have that letter forwarded to me. So I just want to let them know that the address that they have is incorrect. So we updated that. In regards to the income, my income has changed since I applied to this, and here's what my income is now. And I'll be providing supporting documents to show what my income is, and also mentioning that I was very much still interested in this apartment building. That's pretty much what I said. I mentioned the documents that I was going to be attaching, which were my 2023 federal and state taxes, and added that into the packet that I was going to send back to them, as well as 3 recent pay stubs. I just took a guess at what information that they wanted to know for me to basically prove, yes, I do make more than what I had listed, and then recent pay stubs to just give them an idea of the income that I have, which is also very complicated too because I'm an artist, and different places that I work, if you were to be like, oh, she made this in a week, if we times that by 52, this is her income. That's not how it works because I'm at certain places for a short amount of time. So I didn't want to get into all that in that letter, but basically if they try to reject me again, I'll be like, can we talk about this? I'm an artist. So I just did the main 2 things, and if they want more, I said, please reach out to me, you know, at here, here, and here, and that was pretty much my letter. Sent that out within 2 days because I only had so much time. Like that 14 days thing, like it goes fast when you don't live in that same house, and then you have to have that mail shipped to you. I believe I researched, and if you do get rejected again, you have like 5 days instead of the 14 or something like that. But I still feel like this is a different scenario because I was not asked for information, unless there's another letter just swirling out there that I never got. But they never asked me, hey, submit your documents. It was like, you're not even eligible, which I have seen before on the website. I would say like, if you submit anyway when your income's not correct, like they're just gonna deem you ineligible, and that was it. So it's strange and interesting that this company would reach out to me even though they felt like the income wasn't within the brackets. So I don't know, but maybe there's a thought process of it's been 4 or 5 years since then. So I don't know. I can't give excuses for things that I just don't know the process of. Now let's move on to the log number. So the log number is in the 4,000. So that is relatively low, which is good. 4,000 is lower than the email that I got that one time where the log number was in the 7,000s and it said, hey, there's no more units, but you're like kind of on like a short list or so. It's very interesting how these different buildings reach out. Some will send you an email, others will send you a snail mail. So with that previous one, the update is I've never heard anything again. Like I've never heard from that one building, but they know my information if they need to reach out to me, and that's kind of it. Anyone wondering about the order, your applications all get put in a random order, but then it goes in order of the log numbers. So I guess they're now into the 4,000s. I could see how so many people get skipped over with that 14-day, time frame. Like it's so quick, and it could be incorrect information. Like things do change, and that's why they always say like make sure your profile's up to date, which I always am so on. But I don't think that the profile that I have now is the profile from that other one. This is another moment to just kind of realize that all these places that you're applying to, like, you literally never know. I think on their website there's like, oh, you'll be notified between 2 and 10 months. Well, this is many years later. And again, I've applied to so many and never heard anything. And then all of a sudden last year I hear about one, and then this year I get this letter where I have an opportunity to like reach out to someone because the information's on there. It's still so muddy and confusing. So I'm like, I don't really know what to expect from here, because they might just be like, well, we don't have any units. We were just letting you know that you were rejected. Or they've now since moved on to someone else and that person, you know, was available. So I'm truly, when I say like, I do not know how this part of the journey works. I'm only just experiencing it and sharing it. And if you have had a similar situation or someone has reached out to you, let us know in the comments if it was snail mail or email, if it was at an address that was no longer yours and you finally got the information. Like, how did you reach out? Did you just let it be? Oh, another thing I wanted to mention is that I had such a low log number, and this was again when I wasn't living in the city. I was living outside of the city but still in New York, and this building is in Manhattan. So the fact that I also now live in Manhattan, I was like, well, maybe I can, now that they'll see my address, this is a better chance or higher chance. But it just goes to show you that, once again, for the people that are outside of the city, you think it's a lost cause, but it may not be, because I was outside of the city, still in New York, and yet I somehow got a low log number, and however many years later I was reached out to. Versus like, there's literally buildings in my neighborhood that I'm like, I'm right here, and that's supposed to be like the highest of chances, and then I have a log number in the like 20,000s or something. I don't know what the rhyme or reason is, but I'm not experiencing that just quite yet. I'm just curious if anyone wants to share their story, or they feel comfortable if you've had to break your lease to get into your affordable housing unit, or how you think you would navigate that. And not for the buildings that are like super chill to where it's like, oh, you leave, just give 30 days. I mean the ones where like there's no regulation, there's no rent stabilization, like you'll probably have to pay some sort of penalty. I'm just thinking ahead, like what that could be or what issue that could cause, because that does make it, for me, seem a little bit of a hesitance on wanting to make a move. Do you just go for it and never look back because of the fact that you're gonna have like that lower rent and ideally, you know, a greater space? Has anyone else had that experience where they received a letter and that was kind of the next step in their process? Specifically a rejection letter. If you haven't experienced this is now a learning lesson of possible things that could happen as you're applying and as you're going through all your spaces or whatever. I'm hesitant to say if like this is just a one-off because this is an old building versus like the new website where everything seems like it's digital. I really don't know. Like, I'm not withholding information. I really do not know how this process works. And that's why I'm sharing it, as this is just my experience of going through an appeal. And I will definitely update y'all on when I get a response about it. This could lead nowhere, but this could also lead somewhere. And I'm kind of happy that it happened so that I could just know what are the options. If you have any tips for anyone else for appeal letters, what is some preliminary information that we should have on hand for that appeal? If you've been through it, what you think stands out. Thank you to everyone that also told me that they've seen very, very low log numbers, like in the 50s and 40s and lower than that. So I do know now that that does exist, and that's amazing. Like, if you could get that, that's really dope. If anyone's had a super high log number and they've managed to get in through there, let me know. That is my video. Let's have a discussion. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this was helpful in any sort of way so that you're prepared for an experience that might be similar to mine. I will see you in the next one.